All right, so this is part 2 of the digestive system notes, and we left off with the stomach, um, and now we're going to talk about the pancreas because after the food leaves the stomach, it goes into the first part of the small intestine, and secretions from the pancreas enter there. So remember, the pancreas is an accessory organ of the digestive system, meaning food doesn't actually go through the pancreas itself. So digestion and then absorption of nutrients is possible due to largely from the secretions from the pancreas and then the gallbladder / liver. So we know the pancreas is a gland. It's located posterior to the stomach in the space, the retroperitoneal space, so behind that peritoneum. It has an endocrine portion. It also secretes digestive enzymes that help further digest proteins, carbohydrates, lipids. It also contains sodium bicarbonate, which helps bring the pH up or buffer it, make it less acidic in the small intestines. So here is the liver. The liver has been cut here. We can see the gallbladder. Here's that muscular diaphragm. So this is the thorax up here, the abdomen down here, and the stomach has been removed. So the stomach normally would be over here, and this is the beginning of the small intestine right here, the duodenum. The pancreas lies just behind there, and it's piecey. You can see the little piecey nature of it, and there's the pancreatic duct where the pancreatic juices are routed to, that then enters the duodenum right there to give you a little bit of anatomical, to know where you're at anatomically. So 99% of the pancreas is these cells called the acini, and they are the exocrine portion, or the portion of the pancreas that is the digestive portion. The other portion we'll talk about in the endocrine system, the glucagon and the insulin. But here we're talking about the acini that secrete the pancreatic juice. Your body secretes about 1 to 1.5 liters of pancreatic juice per day, and it goes in the duodenum. That's where it exits. A few things: it creates a proper pH environment in the small intestine. It actually raises the pH, so it makes it less acidic. It also contains an enzyme that helps further digest carbohydrates, pancreatic amylase. Also, enzymes that digest proteins, so that cleave or break up polypeptides into smaller dipeptides, or even single amino acids. Those include trypsin, chymotrypsin, carbopeptidase, and elastase. However, these are the active forms, and they aren't active actually until they leave the pancreas. So the pancreas secretes like precursors, and then once it's in the small intestine, they become active. Also related from the pancreas is pancreatic lipase, which of course lipids, fat, digests larger fat triglycerides. Those videos go with it. The liver. Okay, so that's pancreas. The liver also is an accessory organ that secretes bile that aids in digestion. It's the largest gland and the second largest organ, only to the skin. Skin's the first largest organ, then the liver. The liver is ginormous. 2 main lobes, and the 2 main lobes are divided by that falciform ligament that connects that liver to that anterior body wall. It's covered in visceral peritoneum, and we took a little section on the liver. We looked closely microscopically. This is what we would see, these liver lobules. And your book talks a lot about how there's theories to how they're anatomically arranged. That isn't so important to remember, but this structure here, the pathway of blood to and from, and then the pathway of the production of bile. There are these little, what they call portal triads in these lobules. The triad 3 that combine the hepatic portal veins, so coming back from draining blood from the intestines, and then the hepatic artery, so blood coming right from the heart, high in oxygen, and then the bile duct. So those 3 together at those little corners. So the hepatocytes, if you look in here, the reddish cells of the liver are the hepatocytes. They're the functional cells. They do the work. They secrete the bile. Um, they also have non-digestive functions as well. So the liver is a crucial organ, and your book goes into details about the specific purposes of it. Here, digestive system, mainly we're talking about the production of bile, though. It also is involved in activating vitamin D. It's active in storing blood sugar and releasing blood sugar. In the next one of the next slides, we'll have more information on that. So, for digestive system, it makes, transforms, stores proteins, carbohydrates, fats. So that's the storing of blood sugar. Break down fat, detoxify your body. So what's coming in, alcohol, for example, drugs, even like ibuprofen, things like that, will clear those out, modify, excrete different hormones, things like that. So, and then take a look down here. It just gives a definition for emulsification. We'll get to that here in a second. Where did I talk about it? Right there. Yeah, bile. Okay, so, sorry, I had to look at that. So this details other non-digestive functions. So phagocytizes or gets rid of old, worn out cells. There's actually fixed macrophages called Kupffer cells that sit in the liver, and they just wait for debris to be brought to them and take care of it. They make heparin, which is an anticoagulant, helps make your blood not so thick. Other proteins, if you remember learning about blood clotting, prothrombin, fibrinogen, and albumin are involved with your blood clotting. And then they modify vitamin D, so which is important. Well, we talk about the sun activating vitamin D, and then it actually goes through the liver, and there's a whole process for that. So this is taking a closer look at this lobule. A few things I want you to notice. The direction of the arrows. See how they're going two different ways here? So, excuse me. So this is blood from the hepatic portal vein. So I talked about that when we reviewed the blood vessels, and the hepatic portal system is receiving blood that has just left your intestines, your stomach, your spleen, and it's bringing it back to the liver so that the liver can filter that blood. So that's where it's coming. Arterial blood right here, coming from the heart, is also coming there. And the direction of the blood is going to go this way, those arrows. And then this little cell in there, you can see them right there. Those are the fixed macrophage, also called the stellate reticular endothelial cell, or a Kupffer cell, that's there to take in debris. And the area that they go through, this blue area, it's called the sinusoid. It's just a specialized capillary, a little bit bigger, actually a lot bigger. So it fills with more blood. That's why the liver is very red in color, has lots of blood. And then they all empty into this central vein, and that central vein will then make its way back to the heart. Here's that pathway. So the blood vessels, they unite in the liver sinusoids, that specialized capillary. Then they all bring the blood to the central vein, empty it there. Central veins unite in hepatic veins, which veins bring blood back towards the heart via the inferior vena cava into the right atrium. You should remember where it goes from there. This is a detailed look of the Kupffer cell. Destroys red cells, white cells, bacteria, or takes it in. The hepatocytes are the orangish, reddish colored cells here. They secrete bile. They notice how the bile goes the opposite direction. And what is the purpose of the bile? So when you get into the small intestine, your body needs to absorb these fats. Well, fats, to be able to be absorbed, they can't be in big globs, okay? that needs to be in smaller globs to easily absorb it. So the bile emulsifies, breaks it up, those large globs into smaller globs. The bile has some hydrophobic and some hydrophilic regions that actually, just like soap, breaks up fats when you wash. Kind of like the bile, it breaks it up into smaller, easier to access, to digest. Um, they secrete about 1 liter of bile a day. Bile in itself is alkaline, so not acidic. Has these bile salts. It has cholesterol. It's an excretory product, and it's a digestive secretion both. Yeah, so if you didn't have proper function of the bile or the liver and the gallbladder, the lipids wouldn't be digested properly, so they would leave the feces undigested, and that you're going to see that show up in your stools, be more greasy. There's a pigment or color to the bile as well due to bilirubin, and that's because when red blood cells are recycled, that pigment goes to the liver. And when that pigment starts to be broken down, it turns like a brown color, and that's contributing to the color of your feces. This is, a lot of you asked or have asked about this, what to label here in your book, for example. So your hepatic ducts in your liver secrete the bile into a common hepatic duct. So that's the pathway of the bile. The gallbladder is located on the inferior side of the right lobe of the liver, if you were to lift it up. And the gallbladder is a holding device for bile when your body's not digesting food, and it backs it up into the gallbladder. And that duct that's specific to the gallbladder is called the cystic duct. Okay, so right here. When they combine, it's called the common bile duct, and that will exit into the small intestine right here, the duodenum, at the same place that the pancreas secretes its contents, at the hematopancreatic ampulla, which is a fun word. And that is what I just said here. So here's an even closer picture. The bile duct, the pancreatic duct joining together in this area called the hematopancreatic ampulla. And it will push in those juices when your nervous system triggers them to, or when a food or chyme has entered the small intestine. So between meals, when you're not eating, when you're sleeping, for example, that ampulla is closed, and bile is still being produced, so that bile needs to be stored somewhere, and it's stored in the gallbladder. And the gallbladder stores it, and it concentrates that bile up to 10 times. What causes the secretion of the gallbladder's bile? It's due to a hormone called CCK, and that hormone triggers the secretion of it. You can live without your gallbladder, but it is important. You want to have it. So to remove it, it's called that, to remove your gallbladder. And you just can't digest high fatty foods or meals high in fat very easily without your gallbladder. So you have to change your diet a little bit, at least temporarily, for your body to adjust. You can watch this video. We didn't have any worksheets on this, but it'd be a good one to watch about the bile. Small intestine. So the first section is called the duodenum, then the jejunum, and the ileum. If you were to take out your intestines of a live person, they would be shorter compared to a cadaver, because cadavers don't have the smooth muscle around the small intestine, causing it to be contracted. So digestion continues in the small intestine, but also we have absorption really picks up, absorption of those nutrients. So the mechanical digestion of food in the small intestine is called